I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Glenn, what was the top story?
I think I have to go with the cliff.
The cliff.
The cliff.
Okay. All right. Stu.
I'm going to go with the Taylor.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't
Interesting
know.
start to the show. Pat?
I'm going to say the Haley.
All right, before we get into all of that, whatever that is, I want to thank our sponsor, Brick House. So I was up at 3:30 this morning to fill in for radio, and by about...
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, it was pretty dumb, huh?
Who would want to do a stupid morning show, am I right?
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 Hey.
You're right, Pat?
Man, you're right.
Can we just do a real quick announcement
Yes.
for this audience?
Yes.
Pat is taking over the morning show, and he is truly one of the best morning guys in the country. I would say the best, since I'm no longer doing it, best in the country. And he still does his podcast, but also going to be doing mornings on the Morning Blaze. And we're adding someone new. Steve Dace is joining us.
So excited about that.
He is brilliant. He'll be
Yeah.
here Friday for the news and why it matters.
Oh, nice.
So I was asking Stu earlier, are you like more grumpy in the mornings?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready.
We may have
without
slightly
question.
leash.
Yeah, leash
Yeah.
him.
Yes.
A little bit of a leash.
Slightly unleashed.
But so I by about 8:30, I was already dead, and I had already had like 4 cups of coffee. So took myself a dawn to dusk and felt tremendously better. And as you will see, I will not actually fall asleep during this show. Thank you, Brick House. But they also have Field of Greens.
Which I now am. Now listen, no one tells my wife that I don't mind taking this. Is that all agreed upon?
Yes, because you're using it as some sort of advantage, or?
No, that would be wrong. But I don't want my wife to know that I don't mind. Because what you'll do is you'll be like, good, see, you don't mind greens, you don't mind salads. Here, have a salad too.
Yeah.
So you can either have this.
No, I don't.
Does this look appetizing or what? Or you can have Field of Greens, which gives you a full serving of fruits and vegetables. It's organic. I know you're a big fan of it as well, Pat.
We hate vegetables. Pat and I both
Big time.
have listened to our wives for decades.
Yes.
And then before that, our mothers. Eat your vegetables. No, I hate them. I hate salads. I hate vegetables.
Well, now you don't hate it anymore, do you, Glenn Beck? All right, so go to brickhouseblaze.com and you can get, 15% off of your first order, or text greens to 41411. The cliff.
The cliff. The cliff of insanity. The cliff that I was hoping that we would never hit, that I think we are hitting, where the country... I mean, Pat, how does this end?
With a bullet in the head?
No, come on. Seriously.
I don't know. I mean, it's going really badly.
Right?
We're headed in a terrible direction. It seems like it ends in revolution.
I just talked to a guy today. He used to be with the Washington Post. He's a big author and writer and journalist. He's going to come up in a podcast that I'm doing. And I asked him off the air, I said, how's this end? Now, he's on the left. And he said, I don't know, Glenn. He said, I have to tell you, I don't think this is going to end well. We have got to find sanity. We have to find somebody who will stand up and lead us out of this. And you know who his example was? We need a Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
We need someone that will bring us the belief in America that will not leave half the country behind. And he's right. He's right. So we're advancing on this cliff, and we're going there, and I just want to speak to the women of the audience. Do you have a son? Do you have a husband? Do you have a brother? Will you possibly have a son? This is critical that we do not continue down this road. I want to show you a website. We're not going to get close to it because I don't want to show the information on it, but it is Make Them Scared. It is from, now look at the list of all of the people here, and they're all accused of rape, and you define rape in many different ways. These are all people that women have gone to this website, Make Them Afraid, and said, yeah, I was raped by this guy. Here's the circumstances. There's no vetting of this. There's no evidence. They're just posting it online, page after page after page.
And I would imagine that by posting that on that website, eventually it would become available, like if you were to Google or search that person's name.
I would imagine.
Eventually you're going to be, I mean, it's going to be...
Yeah, especially if it's linked to other pages.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here in this crazy world where this guy, again, I was interviewing, I talked to him about the Red Scare. And because he's interviewed people that were involved in the McCarthy hearings. And I said, I think we're there again. He said, oh, I think we are too. We are shouting people down. We are not listening to each other. We're demonizing and separating groups. I mean, I know you're going to talk about the Swift or the Taylor, and that's a good example. Here's a woman who was shamed into having to come out and take a stand. What are you talking about? Why would she do that? She's just cut her business in half. She has just taken her audience, and half of her audience now feels differently about her.
Well, I don't know. Donald Trump said he only likes her 25% less.
Right.
So.
But still, she has taken this image where she was somebody for everyone. They shamed her into that. If she had a different opinion and she spoke out, they would have destroyed her.
Well, look at Kanye.
Yes. Kanye.
I guess I don't have to do my segment today. Apparently not important enough to.
Sorry, I know.
No,
but I mean, Kanye is another example of this. We are at a cliff and we're going over it. And we all have to stop and say, I don't want to go there. And it's really going to be up to women.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, going on to the Taylor Swift thing. I mean, look, the news and why it matters. It's not the thing that matters here is not Taylor Swift's endorsement of some Democrat in Tennessee. It's certainly not Kanye's visit to the White House. But it's a very strange world we're going into. I will point out Taylor Swift, pretty smart with business. She waits till the day after her world tour ends to after she does a show in Dallas, Texas, or 2 shows in Dallas, Texas. Then she's all about the Democratic Party. But I mean, one of the things I really liked about Taylor Swift is that she just doesn't talk about this stuff. She doesn't have to get in the middle of it. She doesn't have to put it in your face. She just allows you to enjoy her product if you happen to enjoy it.
She allows you to enjoy her ex-boyfriend drama.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's what we want, right?
And that's what we used to be. That's what we should be again.
And I think it's like, and beyond the idea of like, okay, you're right, half of her audience is going to be annoyed at these things. I think, yeah, you can get over that at some level. I'm sure some of Kanye's fans can deal with his.
I don't think so. I think conservatives are used to dealing with it.
Yeah,
we just go along. With Kanye, they're now saying that he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, on like news broadcasts.
Right. I mean, he's been mentally unstable for a long time.
That's what I was going to say.
I totally agree with the analysis.
They're not saying it because of any other reason other than his selection of who he thinks is a guy worth listening to.
Before he came out for Trump, I think they gave him the excuse that he's just an artist.
Yeah, he's an eccentric genius, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they never said he was mentally ill when he said, George Bush doesn't like black people.
right.
They never said that then.
Bizarre. It's funny, like if you think back just a few years ago, there was also drama between Taylor Swift and Kanye West, but it was an MTV Awards.
Yeah.
Now it's like leading our country. Like now, like leading news broadcasts is that Taylor Swift said something and Kanye West goes to the White House.
Full circle.
Right? Isn't that a really weird moment?
It's really weird.
I was also shocked at the level of understanding. Now look, Taylor Swift is a very smart business person, right? Like, I mean, I remember when we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
We were at the Country Music Hall of Fame, and we're like, gosh, they're featuring a lot of Taylor Swift stuff in here. And it's like the Country Music Hall of Fame. At this point, she's had a few, she's obviously she's a big star, but she was not like, like she even is now. And then at the end of the tour, they're like, by the way, Taylor Swift has made a $3 million donation to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Like, she's smart. Like, she's constantly exploiting social media.
May I tell
Her people are smart.
Yes, please, really quickly.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, it's a great story.
So I'm at the 100 Most Influential People banquet, okay? If you're Time Magazine, they pick 100 people. They say they're the most influential. And that 100 people, not with a spouse or anybody else, you go to that dinner. So it's you and 99 other people. Taylor Swift was performing. She's in this room right at the Time Warner Center. We're all very close. Elton John and Bill Clinton are sitting at the same table. They're about 3 tables in front of me. They're sitting next to each other right where Taylor is performing. And she sings a song, and then she says, you know, as the piano is playing, you know, I have this theory that love songs are really it's just poetry set to music. I thought
Elton thought that was
John,
pretty brave, huh?
Yeah, I thought Elton John was going to stand up and say, no way! So let's be careful on the she's smart.
Look, she's a brilliant business person. She's an incredible operation.
She seems nice.
And I got to imagine they were like, please don't, Taylor. We've done so much work to like make you into this perfect person with none of this negative crap that everyone carries around now when it comes to politics. But look at her write-up of this that she puts on here. And, like, this is, like, not even I watch Rachel Maddow every night sort of level of understanding of the news. This is like I was in an airport once and Rachel Maddow was on the screen and I read the subtitles. That's how bad. Like, she voted against equal pay for women.
Oh, I know.
She voted against reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. This is a very little known fact that violence against women is illegal even without the Violence Against Women Act. You're not allowed to do it. She believes businesses have a right to refuse service to gay couples. This is Marsha Blackburn she's talking about. And of course, that's not true at all. Marsha Blackburn does not believe that at all. She also believes that they should not have the right to marry. These are not my Tennessee values. Like, this is like a really crappy, like, 9th level intern at a campaign sort of listing off bumper sticker analysis. It's embarrassing. And I'm sure her people wanted to stop it.
That is the general population of the American public right now, though. I saw a story that came out from Think Progress today. It was shameful. Shameful. And
you already said Think Progress. Why are you being redundant?
They've been shameful forever. But this is
part of the shameful media network.
We are at a point to where the Republic is at its breaking point. And they come out with an article how the Constitution has failed. And the Constitution is a racist document. And they frame 3/5 of a human all wrong. It's nothing but lies. And you know who wrote it? The Ian Heiser or whatever his name, Millhiser guy. The guy who just last week was calling for, violence against people. He's now putting this out. It is shameful. But the only solution is learn it. Learn it. And if the American people will not learn about the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, if they will not stand for true rights of the Bill of Rights, we're going to all lose them.
There's one other solution, I think, and that's to shake it off. Shake it off.
Wow.
Deep.
That's, yeah.
Is that like poetry set to music?
Almost. Almost like that.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not, but it's not that.
It's not a love song, really.
Let's talk about the Haley when we come back.
You just notice that Taylor Swift looks like a mouse. Like, if you were to put her and just animate her, right, like, she'd just be a mouse.
Before we get into the Haley, want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro.
I love this.
It's the coolest
I
thing
love this.
ever.
I love this.
So you can save tons of money on ammunition, going to the range, things like that. And instead, you can dry fire from home. And you
Dry firing is the most. It's the most important thing. Trigger control is really what separates the men from the boys when it comes to shooting, and it's hard. And I'm bored out of my mind when people are like, "Oh, you go work on your trigger control." Yeah, I know. I'm going to sit in my living room for an hour and just watch myself pull the trigger. That's what you're supposed to do. This gives you, like, it's a little bullet device, but it's a laser, and you put it inside into the chamber where the bullet is supposed to go. You slide it back and you fire it at a target that they provide. Your iPhone is sitting right by the target, and it actually registers. You can't see it, but where you hit it.
Really cool.
It's unbelievable. It's the best. Save you a ton of time, go into the range, lots of money saved, and it's great. You do it as a family. I know we like to sit and dry fire as a family.
It's such a Texas thing to say.
It is.
Right now, you can save 10% with offer code NEWS. Go to itargetpro.com. That is offer code NEWS. All right, the Haley. The Haley is gone.
the Nikki Haley just resigned kind of out of the blue. And
she has been saying that she was going to.
When?
No,
I haven't heard her.
I mean, she said it. Trump
She
said
made a
that.
comment.
Yeah, she said a long time ago that she was eventually going to leave, and she said that to Trump supposedly 6 months ago, but no one has any record of it.
And I heard that it was just that she was going to need a break.
Yeah.
Was what I heard, that she happened to mention.
Well, it
this to
immediately
Trump,
kicked into gear some speculation that maybe she's the anonymous writer of the New York Times article and all that kind of stuff.
That's
I
why
don't
he
buy
had
that
a
at
friendly
all.
press conference with
buy
her
that at all.
afterwards.
Others are saying maybe she's preparing for a run for
In
president
2020,
in 2020. No, she's not doing that.
No.
It may just be she's tired of doing
Can you imagine? Look at what she's dealt with for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is on fire. And I got news for you. Nobody's turning the heat down. If I were her, I'd be like, I got a bunch of successes here, and the world is headed towards a cliff. I think
I look pretty good right now.
I look good. I'm going to go and get a nap in.
It's a good time for that.
It is, because I cannot tell you what 2019 is going to look like. Can you?
No.
And nobody can.
What I think is interesting, I mean, look, this happens, I think, with a lot of people in that, she's been in representative government for 14 years, right? She's made, she made a decent amount of money as a governor, and she makes a decent amount of money for the average person, but she hasn't cleaned up. She hasn't done the Washington cleanup.
Now she can.
She can go somewhere now and make millions and millions of dollars. She, they went through some of her financial stuff, and she seems like a person who is, has some debts, and it might be good for her to do this. And that's totally understandable from a conservative perspective.
She get 50,000 or 100,000 a speech now.
Yeah, and
I think
that's great.
I will tell you, she is one of the only true winners in this whole administration. Mm-hmm. She went in, I think, with. I like her. But I'm when she went in, I was like, I don't know. She's leaving, in my book, rock solid.
Definitely.
She exceeded your expectations.
Oh,
by far.
Yes.
Well, I also find interesting, who else has left the White House on good terms like this? There's been no scandals. There's been no fighting with President Trump. Everything ends completely amicably, and they have a friendly joint press conference. And
what's her name?
Stormy Daniels?
Hope Hicks.
Hope Hicks.
Hope Hicks would be one.
Is maybe the only other one.
Almost. Very close.
She left for a while. She was happy.
Very close.
Yeah, Hope Hicks would be an example. By the way, the new executive vice president of Fox News Communications. She just announced. They just announced. I think it's EVP.
I will tell you, just for consistency's sake, I don't like it. We wouldn't have liked it. We didn't like it when ABC sent people into the White House.
Right.
and then back.
That is
we
true.
I don't like that. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, she's
But it's on our side, Glenn. You're supposed to like
Oh,
it.
then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I totally
It's
forgot.
our team.
Oh, okay. I'm totally
Yes.
fine with it.
Yes.
Oh, I hope they screw the Democrats.
Right?
I mean, she's not in most of that criticism, to be fair, was about journalists, right? Like they were taking Jay Carney was like a journalist married to another journalist, like going in and out of the White House. This is someone who is a PR person. She's not a policymaker. So I mean, but I think it's certainly a good gig. And again, she's going to go and make a fortune doing that there, and that's understandable. Like it's not like there's a part of that is a little bit you don't like it because you're like, oh well, that because of this influence they're able to go and get this great job, but that does happen. And if you've done this for a while, what's wrong with going to the private sector? I mean, the private sector is supposed to be, to me, it's the top of the game. Like, I'm much more Ron Swanson on this. I'd much rather be out of the government than in it.
But I don't like the fact, like, for instance, Nikki Haley, if she's peddling influence, if she's up for sale for anywhere and she's peddling influence and connections, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the senators and congressmen who leave. Jeff Flake is supposedly going to be one of these guys that'll end up in a lobbyist firm and he'll make and broker all the deal. I don't like that. No. I don't want you doing that. Go serve your time and get the hell out.
I agree with you in general. I always come back to the same thing, though. It's like, whose responsibility is it? If you are an elected representative and some lobbyist comes in there and tries to convince you of a deal, it's your responsibility to say no to it if it's not right.
I know.
It's not the person who is a lobbyist. Lobbyists can do what the NRA has no influence over any votes. The answer, if the NRA is going in there and saying, "Hey, by the way, you should back my bill because it's important to the NRA," that is not the NRA's fault. That is the representative's fault if they're being won over by these pitches.
But you're not being won over by the pitch. You're being won over many times because of the connection.
Well, that's a weakness of whoever you put in the office. That is not the fault of the person outside of the office. It's your job to represent the people, not your friends, right? Like, so if you can ask all you want, but you should be saying no if you're in the government if you don't think it's right.
Pat was a lobbyist, and he came into my office, and he was lobbying me for something. Because I've known him for so long, because of our relationship, because I trust him, I'm going to listen and take his advice a little bit more. I'm not going to make a decision because he told me to, but I'm more open.
I think the last part of that is the most important. You trust him, right? The fact that he's your friend, you have lots of friends you don't trust on policy. If they came in there because they were your friend, it wouldn't be interesting to you at all. Pat would make good arguments. You would hear him out because you'd want to hear his side of it, and that's important. But that doesn't make your decision for you. You are responsible for your decision.
Well, so I could cut you in for part of the deal.
Well, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Part of the lobbying process,
right?
Which was why it was so great that Barack Obama banned them from his administration and then only hired 64.
Right.
So that was really good.
It was
more of like a soft ban.
Yes.
So
probably the most transparent ban in history.
Because it was almost invisible.
Almost invisible.
Do you care to float any names for who should replace Haley?
Kanye West.
Ivanka
I think,
Trump.
Great point.
They talked about Ivanka.
Isn't he meeting with Trump?
He is. That's one of the big stories swirling around. Richard Grenell is supposed to be the guy that everyone's talking about as a favorite. Well liked in the White House, would certainly kind of fit this role.
What does he do now?
I don't remember.
Know.
He's I mean, he's been mentioned for several sort of high level jobs in that world, but I can't remember where he is exactly at the moment.
I don't like the idea of a dynasty. Didn't like it with the Bushes. I don't like it with the Trumps. I do not want his daughter.
No, and he joked about that today. He said, I think she'd be perfect for this job. She's really smart. However, people would accuse me of nepotism mainly because it would be nepotism. He actually made that joke.
That's funny.
Did he really?
But I will tell you, I think the reason why I'm really bummed about losing Nikki Haley is I think she had the right temperament. She was strong, but she wasn't crazy.
Yes.
I did not think that the President of the United States, not that he would, but could say, we're just going to push all the buttons in an hour, and she would just come in and be a robot and say that. You know, I think she had her own self, her own ideas. She was calm, she was rational, but she was tough as nails. And I think she would have been that way to the president and to the UN. Who is that?
We saw an example of that with the Russia sanctions. She came out and said, we're putting new sanctions on Russia. Then Trump came out and said, no, we're not. And then back behind the scenes with the press, they said, it must have just a moment of confusion for her.
No, it's not.
And she's like, no, it was not. It was not confusion. And people who have spoken out about the president have not survived that as well as she has.
I like
no one pushed back on her.
I'm usually a John Bolton guy. That's not the temperament I want there right now.
All right, she will be missed. Back in a minute.
She is
Great things
he is
too.
there, though, right?
No, he's there, but we need somebody. We need somebody. You know, one of the things I liked about Nikki Haley is her temperament, the fact she's a woman. I hope we can, I would like to find another really strong woman, mainly because it really hacks off all the other ambassadors that, come from countries where they don't respect women. I just love that. I just love that.
Yeah. What I heard you say was that you just love women and you're really sexist because you want to objectify them.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah,
that's what America heard.
Yeah. Thank you.
Europe heard it.
See you in
too.
overtime.
Am I on that website already?